And now, you just crossed over into the Logan Zone. From ECU Pirate football to the whole college landscape to basically anything else that's on his mind, Coach Steve Logan's talking about it now.
You don't coach at East Carolina. You don't come to East Carolina. You don't play at East Carolina with a weak heart.
Tweet at Steve Logan Show with your takes or call 252-561-GAME for your spot in the Logan Zone. Brought to you by Bill Clark Homes, Greenville Utilities, and Bojangles. Now, here's Steve Logan.
Welcome into Week 7 of the Logan Zone. Philip Pilkington here alongside the coach, Steve Logan, as we will take a deep dive in this show into East Carolina and Tulane. We will talk to Dave Nathan about everything going on over at North Carolina right now, and we'll be hearing from you with your calls at 252-561-4263. And just a reminder, the best caller as selected by Coach will get an 8-piece tailgate from Bojangles. At Bojangles, football season is tailgate season. And again, this year, Bojangles is a proud partner of ECU Athletics to celebrate Pirate football. No matter where you are on game day, pick up a Bojangles tailgate box with all the chicken fixins, buttermilk biscuits, and fresh brewed tea hungry fans want. Remember this, Pirate Nation, when you want to step up your game day festivities, it's Bow time. Coach, I'm doing great on this Wednesday because today is the beginning of 49 straight days of either at least one FBS college football game or NFL game being played each of the next 49 days, Coach. 7 weeks of football, and I'm excited to watch some football tonight.
Well, I'll tell you what, we are right in the middle of it, and I did a little spot this morning with Henry Hinton on his morning show, and we've hit that part of the year. You know, you're midway through now, and so there are a lot of dreams that people, you know, you get these preseason magazines. There are a lot of dreams that have already gone up in smoke. And there are a lot of dreams that are unfolding right before your eyes. And just watching some of the media hysteria is part of what we're going to talk about on this show today. But in the meantime, give me and our audience just a glimpse of what it feels like in Greenville for a game tomorrow night that, what do we say all the time? It's a big game, right? This is a big game, and it's going to turn one of these teams into a contender and maybe somebody else a pretender. So we're going to tee it up tomorrow night. But what's the vibe in Greenville?
Well, Coach, I think the vibe is cautiously optimistic. I think Pirate fans are excited that this football team is in position to do what you just said, possibly become a contender for the American Conference. It's a conference that this team is not contended for. Last time they were playing in conference championship games, it was back in the CUSA days. And for the first time in a while, it seems like it's not a real hot temperature in Greenville. It's not a real cold temperature. Nobody's trying to jump off the Green Street Bridge, and nobody is saying that we're going to win the national championship either. It's very level-headed. I think everybody understands the magnitude of this contest to go on the road to play one of the upper echelon teams in the league, and they're hoping that the Pirates will come out on top, but I think they understand that if you go out there and you compete well and you lose this football game, it doesn't mean that you're a bad football team and the season's over and the coach needs to be fired and all that. Now, there may be a couple, but I think people are approaching this open-mindedly and level-headedly.
Well, along those lines, and I'm going to get into some number crunching here in a minute for the fans to compare these two football teams, which is what I used to do in my office incessantly, because, the numbers do mean something, and they do form profiles for your football team and for your opponent. But it's really quite a story. It's a college football story. The starting quarterback at Tulane, let me just remind folks that Tulane was a really good football team last year and had a dynamite quarterback named Darian Mensah. And Darian Mensah is a great college football story. He was totally unrecruited out of somewhere in California, probably Southern California, ends up at Tulane, just totally, I think they said he was a 2-star recruit, which means, nobody recruited you. But anyway, this kid, the story that I read is that during preseason camp at Tulane, he just keeps making plays, and finally the head coach of Tulane last year elevated him, and they went on to a great year, and the kid had a great year. And then bing, bang, boom, here comes Duke. And Duke, I know you're a big Duke guy, Philip, but I've heard varying numbers, somewhere between 4 million for 2 years, and I've heard 8 million. I don't know. But Duke bought this kid, and I've been very interested to watch him play at Duke. The Duke football team's another program that I was very interested in to begin this season. Duke is a good football team right now, and this kid is becoming what everybody thought he could. He's a dynamite football player. Well, that leaves a huge hole in an American Conference football team, that being Tulane. And, normally an American Conference football team that would take a hit like that at the quarterback position, that would knock a hole in your program that you really might not be able to patch up very quickly. And lo and behold, I'm going to kick it to you now. This young man from BYU, you've got the name, the number, the stats. He takes BYU. He's the starting quarterback last year at BYU and takes them to an 11-2 season. True?
Yep, that's true.
And he's the captain of the team. And then all of a sudden he gets sideways with some of the rules that we don't need to get into at BYU, and then take it from there and how this all came about with him at Tulane.
Yeah, I won't go into a lot of the details on the rules, but let's just put it this way. He broke a BYU rule that was not an NCAA rule. We're just going to say that. BYU did not kick him off the football team. They said that he was being given a 7-game suspension. Therefore, he's going to be allowed to play the last 5 games of the season, which would count as a year of eligibility, of course, but was not going to be allowed to dress out for the first 7 contests. So the transfer portal window was not open at this point. He could not hop in the portal and go play anywhere. So what he did is he just dropped out of school. And then what he did is he got an application to the University of Tulane and applied the same way that any other student would, and applied and got into the school at Tulane. Again, I'm sure the football team had something to do with this. He was applying a lot later. This was all happening in July. We do know that. But they could not put him on the team until he went to school. Well, then he had to go to an open walk-on tryout. They didn't have a scholarship for him. They couldn't legally give him a scholarship because of him not coming over during the portal window. So he had to try as a walk-on. Obviously, he was going to make the team. He started 14 games, I think, including a bowl game last year at BYU. And, like you said, he's a pretty good quarterback. So we knew he was going to make the team, and he's battling it out with another young man. And it's about the second week of August. The other young man has I believe, an ankle injury. Don't quote me on that, but it was a lower body deal. And it gave Retzloff the job, and he has started all 5 games so far since. And here we are, week 7 of this thing, and he's starting against East Carolina tomorrow night.
So I watched Tulane play. I was interested in all of this quarterback shuffling that was going on. So 2 to 3 weeks ago, really because of the Duke game, Tulane played Duke, and I was interested in watching Duke. Darian Mensah going back into his home stadium there at Tulane. It was just an oddity the way that things unfolded. And then sure enough, Tulane beats Duke. And it's not 15 minutes into this game, and I'm going, holy cow, who's the quarterback at Tulane? And it's just the man that you just described, Jake Retzloff. And he's really, really, really a good football player. And he may be, I haven't seen enough tape of him, but he may be somebody that the NFL is going to have to take a look at. I don't know his numbers and all those other things, but I can tell you this, I famously or infamously sat in a National Football League draft room one day. And sitting in those draft rooms and going around, and I'll describe this for our fans. When you're sitting in a draft room preparing for an NFL draft, you get in there every morning and all of the trainers come in with all of the medical history, and then all of the coaches come in with all of the evaluations you have on your position that you should evaluate. And then all of the general managers, assistant general managers, scouts from all over the country are flown in. And what happens is you shoot up a picture of one player. And you go around the room and you're getting 20 evaluations on one player. And it's extraordinarily tedious. And I just remember sitting there listening to these people go on and on and on about wingspan. I'm talking about quarterbacks now. We would shoot a quarterback up there, and I'm doing the quarterbacks. And the scout would say, well, his wingspan is whatever feet and inches, and his hand width from thumb to little finger it's a little bit short. It's just 9.5 inches. They said that about Jared Goff. I'll never forget that. His hands are too small. That's what I heard in that meeting. And, of course, I'm sitting here looking at my evaluation, but I'll get to the punchline here in a minute. And you go around the room, and, well, his change of direction is great, or his change of direction is just average. And then there was also they had phrases that, catchphrases that the scouts used. They said the longer a play goes, the worse it gets. Or they would say, the longer a play goes, the better this player is. And I never could quite figure out what that meant. I had an idea. But anyway, this goes on and on and on. And it finally gets around to me on, it happened to be Jared Goff. I was evaluating that class. And I had Jared Goff, who is now he went to the L.A. Rams and took him to the Super Bowl, and then he went over, he's now with the Detroit Lions and is just a fabulous football player from the University of California. And I had all my notes and everything written down. And the other thing that happens in these draft meetings, if you make a statement of any kind, okay, then the way the game is played is everybody will challenge you. Okay, and try to see if you can back up the statement that you just made, whether the player's good, bad, medium, or whatever it is you just said. And so they get to me, and it's Jared Goff, and I said, this guy has got beautiful touch. It reminds me so much of Matt Ryan, who I personally coached. It's a catchable ball, very little air time on the ball. It's an efficient throw. The ball doesn't hang in the air. Accuracy is beyond reproach. Blah, blah, blah. So I kind of do my little thing. And the general manager said, Coach, what are you talking? How do you evaluate a quarterback? He just threw that on me. How do you evaluate a quarterback? And the room just went dead silent, and I said, it's real simple. If the plays work, it's a good quarterback. If the plays don't work, you got the wrong guy. And I really don't give a tinker's damn about pace on the ball or 40-yard dashes or arm slots or footwork or all the other quarterback guru stuff that I can do as good as anybody else. But I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in the productivity of the player making the play work that I called. Does the play work? And the room kind of fell silent, and on to the next deal we went. It was kind of so dumbfounding nobody could argue with him because it wasn't technical, and I've never had a technical evaluation for quarterbacks. It's just really that simple. Look at the films. Do the plays work? In a preseason camp, if you want to find out who your quarterback is, let's say you don't have a starting quarterback, and you're in preseason camp, every rep is precious. Every repetition is precious, and you don't have enough of them to go around. But you got two quarterbacks. You need to put those quarterbacks in the huddle, tell them, okay, it's your ball on the minus 20-yard line. We're going to scrimmage now and see if you can go score. And then let the other kid do it. And go back and forth as many times as you can do that in a preseason camp, and I promise you, you can throw all the statistics away and look at the film, and whichever quarterback moves your team and the plays work, that's your guy. And it may not be the guy that you thought it would be in the meantime. Quick example, okay? Boston College. I had Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan's graduating. Hey, Logan, you better come up with something. One of the strengths that I had, and I'm going to pat myself on the back here, one of the strengths that I had as an evaluator was that I would admit openly, freely, up front, that I really couldn't tell you who the real guy was going to be. I would say, I don't know. I could look at the high school film and I could find a guy with a strong arm. I could find a guy that could run real fast, but I really couldn't tell you. And I went to the head coach at Boston College at the time and I said, I need 3 scholarships. Oh, we can't give you 3 scholarships for the quarterback position. And I said, oh, yes, you can, because if we blow this, you're going to get fired. Well, lo and behold, I got 3 scholarships. I went out and gave 3 scholarships to a kid in New Jersey, a kid in Florida, and another kid up there in Massachusetts, actually. He was in our football camp. 3 kids came in as redshirt freshmen. I really believed the kid from New Jersey was going to be the guy. Really believed that. The last kid I took a flyer on a kid in Florida, all right? And I really didn't think that, a very lean, skinny kid. And he came in, and here we go. We're in spring ball. Matt Ryan's gone. We got to have a quarterback, and we do exactly what I just said. We start rotating these kids in, and lo and behold, guess what? Much to Steve Logan's surprise, Dominique Davis came out of that pack and played for us as a redshirt freshman and took us to a conference championship right after Matt Ryan graduated, who had just taken us to a conference championship game. Dominique took us right back. But the point I'm making is that you just don't know, but here's the whole point of this long diatribe about quarterbacks. You turn on the Tulane film, as I did 2 years ago with Darian Mensah, the plays worked. Kid's good. He's real good. He goes to Duke, the plays are working at Duke. This guy that came to Tulane, he's a really, really good football player. He's a really good quarterback. And he can hurt you. He's good in the pocket. He can hurt you with his legs. He runs very well. And Tulane they're an interesting football team. They're not flashy, but they're solid. They are rock solid on the defensive side of the football. They're rock solid on the offensive side of the football. They don't make mistakes. They don't beat themselves. And as soon as we get back, I'm going to tear into some numbers here and just compare the East Carolina offense, defense, Tulane offense, defense. And just to remind everybody, I will drop everything I'm doing. If you got a phone call, 252-561-4263, I'll drop everything and visit with you about anything. When we get back, we'll look at the stats and see what kind of football game we're going to get ready for tomorrow night. I want to take a minute here to tell you about Bill Clark Homes. The football stadium, the baseball stadium, the Pirate Club, whatever it is, Bill Clark Homes has always been there for ECU. The reason they can do all of this is because Bill Clark Homes continues to build quality homes and neighborhoods in both the Greenville area and in the Wilmington area. And whether it's Greenville or Wilmington, you can choose your school district with several homes under construction and available now in both markets. Eastern North Carolina's premier home builder, Bill Clark Homes, building family traditions.
Remember the days when you could go to your favorite butcher shop and get your pork chops or steaks cut just the way you like them? Well, you still can. Acre Station Meat Farm on Highway 32 in Pinetown, north of Washington, is Eastern Carolina's traditional butcher shop. Acre Station is where you can get your order cut the way you want it. The best sausage, bacon, and pork chops and steaks you'll ever taste. The short trip to Acre Station is worth the drive.
At Acre Station, you just get that good, friendly service you just can't find anymore.
I guarantee it's the best sausage and bacon you'll ever eat.
Hey y'all, G-Man from Shaw's Barbecue. I want to invite y'all over to Williamston for some of the best Eastern North Carolina barbecue around. Pair with any of our homemade sides, hand-dropped hush puppies, and it will make any drive worth it. You can't forget about our famous fried chicken and our fresh seafood served daily. Follow us on Facebook for our specials and G-Man's new creations like the barbecue egg roll, barbecue flatbreads, and backbone and collards with oven-fried cornbread. Talk about old school. We're open Monday through Saturday, 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. Kick your day off with us for breakfast platters, sandwich on house-made biscuits, cheese biscuits made daily, and of course G-Man sausage dog served all day. You can grab some out of the cooler and take home for the grill, a backyard favorite. Follow us here, and that means tailgates, church homecomings, and the holidays are right around the corner. Shaw's offers full catering services or pick-up meals are available. Nothing is too big or too small. Let us take the stress out of any of your upcoming events. Have grills, we'll travel. Head over to Williamston for some great food, a great story, and great folks. See y'all at Shaw's, y'all.
Guten Tag, this is meine Auto. Und this is meine key. And I only trust one place with meine key. Meine Key Car Care. They are so transparent with e-inspection, which shows photos of the problem and the fix. Meine Key is my favorite part of America. And my second favorite part? The cowboys and the horses. Remember, I only trust Meine Key with Meine Key, your one-stop shop for total car care.
At participating locations, Meine Key locations are independently owned and operated.
Jeff Stein here at Brown & Wood Buick GMC, home of the lifetime powertrain warranty. Right now we have GMC 1500 Elevation 0.9% or $78.50 off. That truck also has $359 lease special. For Buick, we got the all-new Enclave. It's beautiful. It's big. It can handle all of your luggage, kids, towing, anything. Brown & Wood Buick GMC, 4 brands, 3 generations, 2 rooftops, and one goal to make sure you leave a happy customer.
Hey, this is Gray Fussell, 4th generation winemaker at Duplin Winery and proud alumnus of ECU. It's that time of year again, time for my latest Duplin radio ad and time for Pirate football. As always, I'd love for you to visit us in Rose Hill, North Myrtle Beach, or Panama City Beach, and to look for our delicious Duplin wines at your favorite store. You can also check us out online at DuplinWinery.com for all of our wines and the best cheesecake in the world. Thank you for your support, and go Pirates!
Greenville Utilities customers should be proud to know that their electric, natural gas, water, and wastewater utilities are owned by the community. That means decisions are made locally, not in some other city or state. It means the utilities are run in the best interest of the community, not to make profits for out-of-state shareholders. It means reliability is high while rates remain low. Greenville Utilities, safely providing reliable utility solutions for the Greenville region since 1905.
Coach Logan's in the zone. And now, so are you. Back into the Logan Zone. Brought to you by Bill Clark Homes, Greenville Utilities, and Bojangles. On 94.3 The Game and Talk 96.3.
Welcome back into week 7 of the Logan Zone. Here's we're about to take a deeper dive into East Carolina and Tulane. They'll be in action tomorrow night. You can hear it right here on 94.3 The Game, our sister station 107.9. It'll be a 6:30 airtime for that 7:30 kick, and the pregame show will lead you in starting at 4. It'll be myself and Patrick Johnson. But before we get back to Coach Logan, I want to tell you about Bill Clark Homes. Bill Clark Homes has always been there for ECU, and they can continue to support year after year because Bill Clark Homes continues to build quality homes and neighborhoods in both the Greenville and Wilmington areas. And whether it's Greenville or Wilmington, you can choose your school district with several homes under construction and available now in both markets. Eastern North Carolina's premier home builder, Bill Clark Homes, building family traditions. Also, a reminder, the number to call in is 252-561-4263 if you would like to ask Coach Logan a question, and the best caller will win an 8-piece tailgate from Bojangles. Now I'm going to toss it back over to the host of the Logan Zone, Coach Logan.
All right, so here we go. I had a little, set up there in the first segment with the Tulane and the East Carolina football game. So, the numbers, when I would go in my office, whether you're a head coach or an assistant coach, you start pulling up numbers just to see what kind of profile you're dealing with. And when, the scoring offense, scoring defense, those are obviously two obvious places to start. East Carolina, and I've made this comment before, in the year 2025, 21st century football, if you're not knocking down about 28 points a game, and 28 points is a minimum, that's a minimum number of points per game if you're going to be competitive, barring a great defense, okay? So East Carolina right now is, I think last year they ended right at 28 points a game. This year, East Carolina's hitting 30.4 points per game, which is 68th in the country. I think, off the top of my head, there's around 130 Division I football teams as we sit here. So East Carolina's, they're healthy. They're in good shape at 30 points a game. Defensive scoring, East Carolina has got some really good numbers at 13 points a game, 15th in the nation. And but this gets back to, one of my favorite, sayings. There's lies, damn lies, and statistics. You can build your case with numbers all you want to, and eventually you got to go get on the grass and play the game. But the thing that's a little bit misleading about East Carolina's numbers right now is the level of competition that they've played. And that's not a critique, because all you can do is show up and play the teams that are on the schedule. You don't have control over that. The games are scheduled. The team you play that year may be great. They may be average. They may be not very good. Doesn't matter. You got to go play the games. And then the numbers will be what the numbers will be. But as we're comparing these numbers, the thing that I'm referring to is East Carolina's schedule that they've played, which off the top of your head, you've got, the North Carolina State game, that's a mid-level ACC football team, as it turns out, North Carolina State. You've got BYU that looks to be an upper echelon Big 12 team that East Carolina certainly had a chance to possibly win the game and really had a chance to play much better in that game. The turnover thing rose up and destroyed the chance at a competitive game. But what I'm referring to is you go down to the Duke numbers that I'm getting ready to get into. Duke has played a more substantial schedule, and therefore their numbers are not as inflated. That's not maybe a great word, because the numbers you've got are the numbers you've earned. But at the same time, Duke has played Northwestern, which is a lower division Big Ten football team. They played Duke, which right now is an upper division ACC football team. South Alabama, which is, that's a walkover football game for a team like Duke. They played an SEC team in Ole Miss and got soundly thrashed. And then they played one American Conference football game, and that's Tulsa. So the point I'm making here is that I'm getting some breaking news here, so I'm getting interrupted about the drama in Chapel Hill. So anyway, let's continue on with our numbers analysis here. So the scoring offense for East Carolina is at 30 points a game, and Tulane, they're sitting at 26 points a game. Now, factored into that is basically, I think they only had a field goal against Ole Miss, and that's going to take your numbers down. Scoring defense, East Carolina's, as I mentioned, they're in the upper echelon of the NCAA at they're 15th in the country right now at 13 points a game, and Tulane is 72nd in the country at 24 points a game. And those things mean something. East Carolina is doing a great job on third down. They are at 54%, 14th in the nation on converting third downs. And anytime you break into that 42, 43% category on third down conversions, you're in good shape. And East Carolina's rocking along at 54%. That's good football. Third down stops, East Carolina, again, doing a great job. 30th in the nation at 31%. So, the opponent has had 72 opportunities to convert a third down, and they've only been successful 23 times. And so, East Carolina's third down conversion rates are really, really good compared to, Tulane's third down conversion. They're at 43% converting third downs on offense, which is healthy. Not as good as East Carolina's, but it's healthy. But remember, I think they've played a more substantial schedule. The third down stops, Tulane's sitting there at 41%, and not quite as healthy as East Carolina. But again, these numbers have got to be balanced out as you talk about them. And but here's the big deal. Real quickly, let me just touch on the red zone. East Carolina's red zone offense, pretty good. You know, they've had 29 trips into the red zone. They've got 20 scores, 16 touchdowns, 4 field goals, and 9 fails. And then, Tulane is also a really good red zone football team. So that kind of balances out. So in the meantime, here's the bottom line number for East Carolina, okay? East Carolina's got a chance to go win this football game, and here's how you do it. You go play the way that you've been playing, but you cannot turn the football over. Tulane is number 5 in the nation. Number 5 in the nation in turnover margin, okay? They are +7. East Carolina's done a nice job in their turnover margin this year as compared to last year. They've done a nice job of straightening some things up, obviously. And but the way that East Carolina is going to have to play this football game, they're going to have to hit the numbers that they're hitting right now. But they cannot lose the turnover battle to Tulane. The way that Tulane is winning and the way that I see that Tulane plays football is, as I mentioned earlier, it's just rock solid. Okay, it's just a rock solid football team. And so, there's your little scouting report. East Carolina's got a chance, and they're going to have to play some really good football. So the breaking news that we're dealing with, Philip, do you think that this is accurate?
It's on the internet, Coach. Of course it is accurate. Everything on the internet's true.
We're on the internet, so of course it's accurate. WRAL News is reporting that UNC football fallout under Bill Belichick. Assistant coaches not at practice, fights between players, which none of that is alarming to me, to be honest with you. The assistant coach that wasn't at the practice was the guy that I guess got caught selling his tickets, which is the height of stupid. But anyway, UNC football fallout under Belichick. Assistant coach not at practice. Fight between players. And then there's a note here that says they are firing him. I'm not sure. Are you seeing where this is actually going to be a firing, Philip, or just more stuff about a fight at a football practice?
Well, the other thing I saw, the thing that we were sent before that was Bill Belichick has discussed buyout options with North Carolina's hierarchy. Belichick has, I don't even know how to say that word. I'm not very good at English. And willingness to trigger his own $1 million buyout if he can find a soft landing with another team or in media. So the way that works, it sounds like they've got a huge buyout now because it's after that June 1st, but if he finds a job somewhere else, it becomes a $1 million buyout.
That's correct. I read the details of the contract, and right now on a straight-up firing of Bill Belichick, it's $50 million, roughly $50 million. And I double doubt, very seriously, if anybody is going to write a check for $50. I know that the University of North Carolina is not going to write that check. Now, if they can gather up 4, 5, 6 boosters, it's important enough to, pool $50 million and write a check and send him on his way, then have at it. I don't think that's going to happen. But I will say this, and I discussed this morning. I know we're jumping into a whole different subject here, but I was going to talk. We've got Dave Nathan from Tar Heel Sports Network coming on at 6 o'clock. And he'll probably have some more information by then. But this article that I'm glancing at right here, they're making a big deal. There was a fight in the locker room between 2 players. Sports fans, I've got news for you. If it made the headlines every time that there was a fight in a football locker room between players, you'd run out of ink. There's always a fight in a football locker room. So, I have a hard time with somebody trying to make that a big deal. Quick war story. I'll give you a war story about a football fight in the locker room. I came out of the lunchroom at the Tampa Bay Buccaneer facility one day, and I went, and you had to walk by the player locker room, which in the NFL, you don't go in the player locker room very often. You do, but you don't, it's kind of their inner sanctum. And I went walking by the player locker room, and you could see through the doors, through the windows, and everybody in the locker room. It was a massive brawl in the Tampa Bay Buccaneer locker room that day. And it was offense, defense, and who knows who else was in between. And guess what? 3 o'clock we went out to practice, and the next day we had film, and the next day and we played a football game on Sunday, and life goes on. So, fights in the locker room, yeah, you deal with them. Fights on the practice field, deal with it, okay? But that isn't caused for, that's no cause for a headline of any kind, to be honest with you. Right now, this seems to be a headline on WRAL. And we've got complaints from parents. And again, I'm getting into something I was going to get into the second hour, but this is supposedly breaking news that they're trying to maybe form an exit strategy. And Philip, anything you want to add to this as you cruise around on the internet, have at it. But this article that was written this morning, okay, it talked about parents being unhappy and just all kinds of things that when you sit, if you've ever had a chance, which 99% of the people listening to this show have never had a chance to sit behind a head coach's desk or even coach, okay, I can tell you right now at the collegiate level, parents don't call the head coach to complain about Johnny not getting enough playing time or the fact that Johnny's not happy. That's unheard of. And I made the point this morning on a show that I was on that in my career, 2 years as a head junior college coach and 10 or whatever years it was at East Carolina as a head football coach, I never took a phone call from a parent wanting to talk to me about their child's playing time or they were happy or not happy. Those calls weren't allowed. Or you'd be on the phone all day long. Locker rooms are inherently unhappy. The only happy people in there, it's the offensive lineman that just had a really good game. It's a defensive lineman that had 4 sacks that day. It's the wide receiver that had 6 catches. It's the quarterback that had a really good football game. Those are the happy guys. And you've got a locker room full of players that all have their own personal goals and their personal agendas that may or may not coincide with a winning football team. And so really the only defense mechanism that you have as a coach is to win the next football game. And by winning the next football game, it keeps the locker room manageable. But using the word happy that's junior high silly. Okay? Nobody's out to keep you happy. And if you're not happy, go make yourself happy. And if you're just that miserable, you need to eliminate yourself from the football team. Nobody forced you to come to wherever the devil it is you happen to be playing right now. You volunteered. Okay, you signed the letter of intent. You chose. And so, what I'm referring to and what I'm pointing out is that if the news media right now is going to make a big deal out of a fight in the locker room at Chapel Hill, it holds no water, zero, okay? So if you had a fight in the locker room at, Oklahoma University right now where they're 4-0, everybody would shrug their shoulders and say, it's a bunch of competitive guys. That's the way they are. And that's relatively true. So anyway, down the road we go. Back to, if we get any confirmation about the Chapel Hill thing.
I haven't seen anything. We do have a caller.
Okay, we got a caller. Good. Well, let's see what Tim's got to add to the conversation here. Tim, you are in the Logan Zone, man. What you got?
Hey, Coach Logan. Really enjoy your show. I called last week and asked about wide receivers at ECU, and and earlier you had spoken about your recruitment at Boston College with Matt Ryan, but I'm particularly interested in your recruitment of David Garrard, who was out of Southern Durham High School, and just what you saw in him as far as athleticism and, his mechanics, et cetera. And furthermore, just the development over his career at ECU, and then him being drafted by the Jacksonville Jaguars. Really enjoyed seeing he and Leonard Henry in combination, and the ECU Miami win, and then also the Texas Tech Bowl win. So if you wouldn't mind taking a few minutes, he's one of my favorite players, and certainly enjoyed seeing him air the ball out. Thanks, Coach.
Okay, Tim, I appreciate that. Yeah, the war stories and those are all kind of fun to reflect upon. I can tell you this about the recruitment of David. David, back in the day when David was playing high school football, Northern Durham High School was a football power in the state of North Carolina. Southern Durham was kind of a ragtag outfit, and I'm being kind when I say that, and I'm not being critical of the people. I'm just saying that the talent level at Southern Durham was not near what Northern Durham was dealing with. But here's the thing about David that was a little bit unique. David came to my football camp. I had seen him on film when he was maybe a freshman at Southern Durham, because he played very early, and he was literally a man among boys. Now, when David came to our football camp, he was a two. I'm not exaggerating. I think David probably weighed 275 pounds, and he was carrying a lot of body fat. He was a big bone kid, and I'll never forget. He said, he's a quarterback. He came with me to the quarterback part of the camp, and he unleashed one of those throws that looked like it came out of a jugs machine, literally. And so, you get interested real quick when you see a ball spin like that. And I had seen balls from Jeff Blake, who obviously went on as a Pro Bowl quarterback with the Cincinnati Bengals. So once you have one, you can recognize one. But we saw David, and I got very close to David. He's from a one-parent family. His mother had passed away. He had a father, and I got very close to David. And what was unique about David at the time, not only his size, it confused a lot of people. Steve Spurrier was interested. The University of Florida offered David a scholarship and a trip to Florida and all that other stuff. But the word out of the University of Florida is that David was going to be put at tight end or something like that, which he could have done. Okay, the University of Tennessee, Philip Fulmer at the time was highly interested in David, but again there was talk of him not being a quarterback. So the hook that I had with David was that there was no question. I didn't care if he weighed 340 pounds at the time. When you see an arm like that, he's going to be a quarterback. And the rest of the story is, we recruited David. I had the luxury, and I mean the luxury, of redshirting David. We put him in the weight room. He went on, our strength program put him on a excellent nutrition program. He began to lose weight. He didn't need to build much muscle, to be honest with you. He just needed to get rid of a lot of body fat, which was done the proper way over an extended period of time. And then David's redshirt freshman year, we got to break him in slowly. I didn't throw him out there and have him start games till the very end of the year. But as you saw, the development of that young man was really something special and a lot of fun to work with. He was obviously a lot of fun to work with, and a super talent, another all-pro quarterback. So, Tim, there's a little bit of the David Garrard journey and David Garrard's story, and I appreciate the call. We're going to take a break right now. If you want to get in on the show, 252-561-4263. We will be back. And, Philip, what do we got? We got one more segment. So, yeah, give us a call, and we'll put you on the air and have some fun with it. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Will Bell, and I'm running for Greenville City Council at large. Let me be clear. My opponent voted for a tax rate that caused the highest tax bills in Greenville's history, hurting families and small businesses. What's even worse, my opponent supported suing a private business to take down the American flag. That is not leadership. That is a disconnect from Greenville values. I believe in lower taxes, personal freedom, and respect for what our flag stands for. It's time for common sense leadership. I'm Will Bell, and I would be honored to earn your vote.
Paid for by the committee to elect Will Bell.
At CCS Equipment Sales, we're proud to be your one-stop certified Takeuchi construction equipment dealer. Our knowledgeable staff is dedicated to building lasting relationships by providing solutions to your needs for new or used equipment, rentals, parts, and service. Our inventory includes Takeuchi excavators, track loaders, wheel loaders, along with a wide range of attachment options in Ayden, Angier, or Youngsville, or check us out online at ccsequipment.com. And remember, at CCS Equipment, we believe we succeed when you succeed.
It's Bo time. Fumbling the food on game day? Rookie move. But you know Bo can make your tailgate a winner, breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Because the Carolina Legend has everything you're craving. We're talking crispy, juicy chicken loaded with real Southern flavor, fluffy scratch-made buttermilk biscuits, and all the fixins to feed your whole crew faster than you can say touchdown. Be the MVP this season and let Bojangles do the cooking. Order your tailgate today. It's Bo time.
Hey folks, Coach Logan here. Did you know that one of the top-rated insurance agencies in the country has been operating right here in our backyard since 1952? Snipes Insurance was just awarded a 2025 Best Practices designation, one of only 16 in North Carolina to receive this honor. Director of Benefits and Pirate alum Lewis Gale lives right here in Greenville. They also have a dedicated commercial and agricultural department. Check them out at snipesinsurance.com or email Lewis at snipesinsurance.com.
If you're concerned about your home security in Wilson and Rocky Mount or any part of eastern North Carolina, High-Tech Communications has merged with SCI Technologies. This collaboration brings a variety of products and services that do more than keep your home or business safe. They differentiate themselves through their service and commitment to providing you the most reliable and cost-effective system for your individual location. Security systems can be installed for as little as $99. Google SCI Technologies for security, life safety, and home automation. It's SCI Technologies.
Capital Subaru of Greenville invites you to fall into savings with a new 2025 Subaru Crosstrek Premium Lease for only $249 a month for 36 months. That's just $8 a day. Capital Subaru also has 2025 Outback models with 0.9% APR for 36 months. Whether it's the new Outback, Crosstrek, or any other new Subaru, you'll always enjoy the best sales experience and service. Capital Subaru of Greenville on Memorial Drive, a proud official partner of the ECU Pirates.
As fall approaches, two things come to mind: football and cooler weather. This is Rachel Davis with Advanced Mechanical Heating and Air. We wanted to thank you for the trust you have put in us this summer. Before you know it, cooler temperatures will arrive, signaling winter is on the way. Don't wait. Prepare now for colder temperatures by scheduling a tune-up. Give us a call today at 252-355-9191 or visit our website, advancedmechnc.com.
Coach Logan's in the zone. And now, so are you. Back into the Logan Zone. Brought to you by Bill Clark Homes, Greenville Utilities, and Bojangles. On 94.3 The Game and Talk 96.3.
Welcome back into Week 7 of the Logan Zone. We are taking your calls at 252-561-4263 for the next few minutes, and then after a break at the bottom of the hour, we'll have Dave Nathan from North Carolina join us. So no calls right there at the top of the hour, and then after Mr. Nathan spends his time with us, we'll be taking your calls back again until the end of the show. We do want to thank one more of our sponsors. Even though Greenville Utilities has a reliability rate of 99.99%, sometimes outages happen, and just like in football, you need a plan for what to do just in case. Right now, grab your cell phone, open the contacts list, and add GUC's emergency hotline as a contact. Here's the number to use: 1-855-767-2482. That's 855-SOS2-GUC. Plan on using that instead of fumbling around looking for the number when the lights go out. Now we're going to talk, I guess, a little more about Carolina thing. Is that what we're on now, Coach?
Yeah, I'll tell you what we're doing. I just received a text, and I'm just going to read it verbatim, as this is, I guess, the hot topic of the day. Below is Wednesday's report and intel, which features everything that I have uncovered so far today. Now, this is from Tar Heel 247, the report from Tar Heel 247. So I really don't even know what that is. I guess that's a website that all the UNC folks go to, okay? And this guy says it includes Belichick's employment status, violations within the program, other rumors and meetings that have taken place. The reports on X that Belichick has been fired are not true. A source with significant knowledge of what is going on chuckled and said the reports are not true. That is, as of Wednesday at noon. That said, potential exit strategy discussions took place Wednesday morning. That doesn't mean Belichick will be fired, but preliminary conversations about the situation and its many prongs, effects, etc., were up for discussion. I can note, and again, I don't know who this is, okay, but it's Tar Heel 247. I can note that if this were to happen, the school would prefer to do it with either eliminate or cut down, basically saying they want to fire him with cause. And this comes from conversations this guy's had with people that are supposedly in the know. If termination with cause and no minimized buyout becomes a real option, it's hard to imagine that it won't be acted upon. So, evidently there's something going on over there possibly. I can tell you this, as I said before the break, there is no way they're going to write a $50 million check to Bill Belichick to stop what's going on. That ain't happening. And Steve Logan's opinion, if they would get out of the way and let it run its course, they'd win a lot of football games. All right, so real quickly, we've got time for one more quick call. Robert, you are in the Logan Zone, and we're gonna go really quick here. So what you got going, Robert?
Okay, I think I got an easy one for you. If you can give us a behind-the-scenes look of when two coaches that have a relationship, but they're on different teams, but they have a common opponent, and they contact each other to, give some details on the team they played.
Right. Robert, that's routine business in the coaching.
Do they send film, or is it just a 45-minute conversation, or just some details on how that might go down? And I love the show. Thank you.
Thank you for calling in. And it's a blend of what you just suggested, but it's routine. I mean, I may call a coach. We've got a common opponent. I may call a coach that's already played the guy that I'm getting ready to play. And I would make those calls on Sunday morning, and I would get those calls on Sunday morning from coaches all over the country. It just depends on how your schedule's working out. And I would say, hey, they've got their defensive front is this, and this. I think they have a weakness here, there, and there. And then you take those conversations, and I've been on both ends of those conversations, and then you turn the film on and see, how you feel about the intel that you got from your coaching buddy, so to speak. Here's a quick war story for you. We went to Syracuse one day and played Syracuse and beat them. All right. Mark Crandall was the quarterback, I believe, and we went up there and threw for 400-something ridiculous. It was one of the greatest games a kid ever played for me. And we beat Syracuse in the Carrier Dome, and I came home Sunday morning. I got a phone call from Tommy Tuberville, head coach at Auburn. He said, Steve, tell me about Syracuse. We got them next, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, Tommy, I gave my comments. I'll never forget this. I said, they've got this little defensive end. And he's not very tall, but we couldn't block him. And he had all kinds of sacks, but we did a good job against him. We kind of limited the damage. But I made that point to Tommy Tuberville, and he laughed on the phone. And he said, Steve, we see guys like that every week in the SEC. And I said, well, I know you do, but I'm just telling you, he's a really good player, and you need to keep your eye on him. And so the next week, that player, and I can almost remember his name, he went on and played in the NFL forever. and was one of the great sack artists in the NFL. I believe he played for the Indianapolis Colts. Come on, Philip, you should help me with this.
Dwight Freeney?
Dwight Freeney, thank you. And I said, this Freeney kid, Tommy, you got to keep an eye on him. Now, he's really good. Oh, we see guys like that every week in the NFL. That Dwight Freeney had 7 sacks the next week against Auburn. I'll never forget that. And I remember, I didn't talk to Tommy after that, but I remember saying to myself, well, I might have been more right than wrong on that one. And but those are the kinds of conversations that are had between coaches. The coaching industry is a unique industry in that I got to believe that Apple products doesn't want its designs, and you've got your all of that stuff is highly guarded, even though the information gets out eventually. But you're not sharing it. Apple isn't sharing their stuff with Microsoft, and so on and so, not willingly. But if you want that information at Microsoft, you got to go hire a guy that used to work at Apple. At least it's got to go that far. But the coaching industry is kind of famous for being very open about schemes, personnel, the way to punt the football, pass protect, so on and so forth. In the off season, coaches interact nonstop at coaches clinics around the country about how to do it better. And it's just unique. I think it's unique to the coaching industry, to be honest with you. All right, there's the blues. Well, folks, my phone is blowing up with Belichick. And we got Dave Nathan from Tar Heel Sports Network. Dave has been involved at Chapel Hill forever. We're going to take a break. When he comes back, we'll at least get something that might be relatively accurate. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
The best burgers around. Everyone loves a thick, juicy, and fresh burger. Tiebreakers does real burgers better than anybody. And don't forget about the cheese sticks, fresh salads, and more. So don't just go to any burger-themed restaurant chain. It's time to break the chain and eat local. Tiebreakers, burgers and sports at its best.
Go Pirates! Arrgh!
Hey folks, Steve Logan here. Hot or cold, Wilson Roads Heating and Air Conditioning has been in the keeping you comfortable business since 1961 on Hooker Road in Greenville. Steve Rhodes, second generation, gives each customer a 100% satisfaction guarantee. Wilson Roads is an independent trained comfort specialist dealer specializing in new installations, home replacements, and service agreements on all makes and models. Go online at wilsonroads.com and finance up to 60 months on qualifying equipment. Hot or cold, get the job done right. Wilson Roads, you'll be comfortable in no time.
For years, Callie Ann Phelps has been singing about Phelps Chevrolet.
Phelps Chevrolet is the one for you. Low prices, service too. See the big dealer right away. Carolina's finest, Phelps Chevrolet.
And you'll agree with what Skylar Phelps has to say.
Nobody beats Phelps Chevrolet's prices. Nobody.
The name you can depend on. Phelps Chevrolet.
Get you one.
Hey folks, this is Coach Steve Logan. My friends at Dogwood State Bank are pirates, and they are changing the landscape of community banking. That term, community banking, is not just a catchy slogan for Dogwood State Bank. They really are redefining what it means to bank local. Big banks may want big business, but Dogwood State Bank wants your business no matter what the size. At Dogwood, your business is big business. Dogwood State Bank has offices in Greenville, Morehead City, Wilmington, Raleigh, Sanford, Fayetteville, and Charlotte.
Member FDIC. When it comes to protecting your business, not all insurance agencies are created equal. As an independent insurance agency, Flatlands Jessup isn't tied to one carrier. We shop multiple companies to find the best fit for your unique risk. Our commercial insurance division brings over 150 years of combined experience to the table. With deep expertise in the industries across Eastern North Carolina, independence means options. Experience means confidence. Flatlands Jessup, your whole world covered.
Is your pharmacy fumbling when it comes to customer service, prescription fills, compounding, medical equipment, and enteral intravenous therapy? Perhaps it's time for you to allow HealthWise Pharmacy to score a touchdown in regards to your pharmaceutical needs. Locally owned and operated by pharmacist Marcy Parker, HealthWise Pharmacy puts you and your health first, offering top-of-the-line customer service, individual attention, and free prescription delivery to anywhere in Pitt County. HealthWise Pharmacy, 615B Memorial Drive in Greenville.
Fall is hands down the best time at Fish Street Hardware in downtown Greenville. We've got live music, trivia, singo, karaoke, and more to keep your nights lively. Plus, game days are back and better than ever with home and away tailgate parties as we cheer on the Pirates all season long. Make NFL Sunday your new Sunday fun day with brunch at 10, games all day, and doors open until 9. We're also extending our hours on Fridays and Saturdays, now open until 11, with live music from 8 to 11, including monthly full band shows. Stay connected on all social media and come see what all the buzz is about at Hardware this fall.
And now, you just crossed over into the Logan Zone. From ECU Pirate football to the whole college landscape to basically anything else that's on his mind, Coach Steve Logan's talking about it now.
You don't coach at East Carolina. You don't come to East Carolina. You don't play at East Carolina with a weak heart.
Tweet at Steve Logan Show with your takes or call 252-561-GAME for your spot in the Logan Zone. Brought to you by Bill Clark Homes, Greenville Utilities, and Bojangles. Now, here's Steve Logan.
Welcome back into hour 2 now of the Logan Zone here in week 7. We do want to thank our title sponsors, Greenville Utilities, Bill Clark Homes, and Bojangles. We will be back to taking your calls here in about 20 minutes or so, and we'll go back to talking about the Pirates at that point. But right now, we are going to toss it over to Coach Logan and our guest, Dave Nathan, as they took a deeper dive into the North Carolina Tar Heels. Take it away, Coach.
All right, back in the Logan Zone, and this is incredibly timely. Dave, are you with us?
Coach, I'm here. I've been waiting for this for the last couple of weeks, partner. I've missed you.
I know it. Well, you picked a heck of a time to come on. So, Dave, I'm sitting here
Actually,
doing
Coach,
my little
you
radio
guys
show
take the
here.
time.
Well, listen, man, I'm sitting here doing this little radio show, and suddenly my phone started blowing up with, Bill Belichick is getting ready to get fired, getting ready to resign. And this is coming from a report posted on Tar Heel 247. Now, for our fans, tell me what Tar Heel 247 is.
Well, I don't know if I can get into the semantics of everything, but it's a website, and if these things change so often now, I believe that Andrew Jones is one of the lead writers for that outlet. I've worked with Andrew before. I've worked around him for several years, and I've got a lot of respect for Andrew Jones. So if all these pieces are fitting together, I'm probably reading the same things that you're reading and can't add much to it.
Well, so I mean, here's the thing. There's so many aspects to this. I guess I keep saying $50 million. I guess that technically it's a $20 million deal to buy Coach Belichick out. But just from where you're sitting, and you're kind of in the front row right now, I mean, are things getting that serious, or is this just more hyperbole from, I will say this, the media hysteria that unfolded this particular week after the Clemson football game was way beyond anything that I thought was going to happen. I mean, I just assumed everybody had already figured out that the University of North Carolina is in a massive rebuild project. Massive. It's a bad football team. But when I saw the reaction, on Monday and Tuesday after the Clemson game, I was kind of like, holy moly. I mean, did you guys just now figure out they're not very good? Well, anyway, having said that, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say the thing that struck me the most was looking at Kenan Stadium at halftime on Saturday, and then counting the days back to the TCU game and arriving at 34, 35 days since the opener against TCU, where you had Michael Jordan and Lawrence Taylor and Mia Hamm and Julius Peppers and all these esteemed dignitaries that had come back to Carolina to see the unveiling of the new football program. Place was packed. It was a Monday night game, prime time, running unopposed. It was the place to be. And just a little more than a month after that, to look around and see the scene at Keenan down 35-3 at the half, it was surreal. Just how quickly the attitude and the feel around things had changed. Now, you know how these things work. You've been around this business long enough to know that when a snowball starts rolling downhill and people come out of the woodwork and there's all sorts of stuff that's reported. And again, like I said, I'm probably reading the same stuff that you're reading, and I've got no reason to think that anything is inaccurate. But it's just striking how fast this point that we're at today has come to, given the excitement and the optimism just a little more than a month ago. And again, you've been at this, so you understand that some of these things take time. Our old buddy David Cutcliffe used to say, "Rome wasn't built in a day," and there have been coaches that have probably faced steeper climbs than even what Bill Belichick is facing right now, that were given more than half a season to try to figure things out. I have no idea where things go from here. But
well, Dave, you were there. You were there when Mac Brown won one game, and he followed it up the next season by winning one game.
Mm-hmm.
And I had just entered North Carolina, the state of North Carolina, coaching at East Carolina, and I didn't have any appreciation for the Chapel Hill thing. And I was watching that from a distance. I was coaching my brains out, trying to stay employed at the same time. But I 1-10. I never felt this kind of hysteria. But let me make a couple of comments, and this is, I'm going to say this in as politically correct way as I can. All right, and this is from a guy that I grew up in Oklahoma. I grew up in Friday Night Lights. It was football 1, football 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. It was just football. That's what it was. And I happened to grow up and coached with a guy named Butch Davis. And Butch and I coached against each other, and then we coached together at Oklahoma State University under Jimmy Johnson. Football, football, football. So I'm just going to kind of like take you, I have had 4 assistant coaches coach for me at East Carolina. I had a very close friend, Butch Davis, become the head coach at the University of North Carolina. I worked with 3 to 4 guys at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers over a series of 3 to 4 years that coached at Carolina. I worked with 2 men at the San Francisco 49ers that had coached at Carolina. And to a man, they all would kind of shake their head. Chuck Pagano, head coach of the Indianapolis Colts, worked for me, worked at Carolina after he left me. To a man, they would shake their head and go, "There's just something that it's just hard. It's hard. The football thing in Chapel Hill is hard." And I'm just relating that to you. This is just Steve Logan's personal experience I'm sharing with you that I've never really said publicly, but I'm saying it now. And I'm not being vindictive. I don't have an axe to grind. I'm just sharing that all of these guys kind of said the same thing. And I want to finish with this. Butch Davis had the University of North Carolina at the doorstep of big-time football. And then there was a scandal. And I submit to you, I've coached in the SEC. I submit to you that what happened at Carolina with the Butch Davis thing, the scandal, if that had been at Auburn or Mississippi State, where I was, and we had been winning games, and the scandal, the level of what took place at the University of North Carolina when they jumped, from my personal point of view, they jumped at the chance to get rid of Butch Davis. because there was some big-time football getting ready to land right in the University of North Carolina's lap. There were going to be a national presence. That was the talent level that Butch brought in there. And had that entire episode happened at Auburn or Mississippi State, they would have cleaned up the mess, and I promise you Butch Davis would have still been coaching. Now that's, and I'm trying to point out, here we go again. If in fact the Belichick thing's too much, too big, too demanding, and there, I've said it. Now you got it. Tell me what you think.
Yeah. Well, gosh, it's hard to believe it's been 15 years since that saga unfolded. I think back to that climate, and I think back to some of the places, Coach, that I've been in the SEC, and I've lived that life, and I've seen what it's like when times are good, and I've seen what it's like when times are tough. And I just think about how important alignment is in any school, from not only just an athletic standpoint, but it goes all the way up to the top, whether you've got a president or a chancellor, down to the AD, down to the coaches. And I don't know, and again, I'm speaking generally here, this isn't just about North Carolina, but I don't know how much your average casual fan that just shows up on a Saturday realizes how important the structure of the entire school from the top all the way down is when it comes to continuity and when it comes to dealing with matters like that. And it goes way beyond the football coach, and in a lot of cases it goes way beyond the AD. It goes to people whose names you might have heard, but they're certainly not talked about on the talk shows or written about in the newspaper the way that the sports figures are. I think alignment in any university is such an important thing when you want to have success at a high level. To your point, again, whether it's Carolina or someplace else, winning is not easy. You're in a big-time power league. All these other schools give scholarships too. There is a lot on the line every time you go out on Saturday, and there is so much that goes into these things that we're not even privy to. It's a tough. Even the best jobs are difficult. And they've all got their own sets of circumstances, Coach. I mean, from Boston College to Mississippi State and everywhere in between, you could probably give me a laundry list of what sorts of hurdles and obstacles each set of schools has to overcome in order to be elite in football or some other sport.
Well, and that's well said. That's perfectly said. And, the other, I guess the cherry on top of my observation is Mack Brown, give him credit, and give Carolina credit for not going crazy when he was 2-20. Mm-hmm. And he stayed there, and I believe at one point, Dave, you were there. I was watching from a distance. But Mack got the University of North Carolina into the top 10. Is that accurate?
Got him into the top 5 twice.
Okay, so,
well,
the
let me
point
say
I'm
that
making
again.
about this.
He got him into the top 5 twice his first time around.
Okay, yeah, that's right. Okay, but here's where I'm headed with this. You're at the University of North Carolina. You've built it. It's yours. And I'm speaking of Mack Brown and North Carolina right now. You built it. It's yours. You've got it working. And you leave to go where? To
Texas.
Where it's football. You see what I'm saying? Even at that point, there's something that says, you know what? Texas, Oklahoma, the SEC, I'm going to where it's football, by God.
Mm-hmm.
And, that was always that move, that singular professional move that Mack Brown made. And to his credit, I mean, it's the University of Texas. I got it. Okay, I got it. And he went there and won a national championship. But he won one national championship. And then again, it gets back to these conversations I've had with guys that have worked there that all kind of say the same thing, which is what you're alluding to, from the top down, the trainers, the managers, I don't know, whatever, the athletic director, you name it, I know they all want to win, but are you willing to really get down? And I guess what I'm saying is if you want to win, college football games and you want to play big boy football, and I've been there. I can tell you this, you have to live right on the edge.
Mm-hmm.
Right on the edge.
Yeah.
On the competitive edge in recruiting, the competitive edge on game day, and there might be a little, he broke a recruiting visit deal, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Go down to the SEC and coach for about 35 minutes and talk to me about living on the edge. That's where Oklahoma University lives. Texas lives there. The SEC lives there. Clemson lives there. And so I'm just saying, I just wonder when and where, if ever, that Chapel Hill, the culture of Chapel Hill, I don't, so far in my lifetime, they haven't I don't think they're willing to go there. And here we are again, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, you kind of jogged my memory on something. I can't remember if this was Bill Belichick that said this or Michael Lombardi when they got hired. But Coach Belichick said, I'm pretty sure it was Coach Belichick who said that when you got to a certain level of coaching in the NFL, you got to take the quote-unquote good trips to colleges to recruit talent. And he was in Chapel Hill one year. And the same discussion that we're having right now came up. And the question he asked himself was, how has this program not been more successful given the beauty of the campus, the success of the other programs, the amount of talent that's around the program? There's a number of different things that went into it. It's interesting we're back here having this discussion.
Well, again, I'm sitting here watching from 30,000 feet, but here's what I do know, and I know this, that if Chapel Hill, the powers that be, are willing, in particularly this day and age where you can buy a football team, okay? And as we referenced last week, the Lombardi email that went out, they've got 40 freshmen signed up to come play for this next football season at the University of North Carolina. Now, here's what I know. I know in 40 football players that have committed to play at the University of North Carolina, I don't care if Bugs Bunny's the head coach. Out of 40 high school football players that have committed to play football at the University of North Carolina, there's some damn good football players in there. Okay? So given that fact, along with the fact that we're in a day and age to where you bring in those 40 and you now go shopping in earnest in the portal, like Texas Tech did this year. You don't go bring in the quarterback from South Alabama, okay? You go shopping in earnest and you bring in the backup quarterback at Alabama or the backup quarterback at Georgia, because they've got 3 5-star kids sitting in those quarterback rooms right now. And if you're dead ass serious, that's what you do, and it's doable and it's legal. And so I'm just saying that if everybody would just suck it up and let this system work out, this time next year, I think the needle would be pointing up big time. Big time. Now, if Belichick is looking for a way out, it's just one more thing telling me that he's looking around going, just what you spoke to. He's going around going, these people, this environment is not for me. Because I promise you, Bill Belichick, like Butch Davis, who I know personally, they came there to do one thing: win football games. And anything else that's in the way has got to get the hell out of the way. Now that's hard for a lot of people to adjust to. And I've lived that at a much smaller level, and I made a lot of enemies on the way to winning football games. But I didn't know any other way to do it.
Yeah. I mean, listen, the biggest winners aren't always the most well-liked guys. You can probably count on one hand, Coach, the amount of guys that enjoyed elite success that you would love to call up and have a phone conversation with.
It's just I've talked to many of the coaches, 2, 3, 4, 5 coaches that worked in the Nick Saban kitchen, where the temperature was 900 degrees every day at Alabama, and they did not want to go out and have a couple of beers with Nick. Okay, and it's kind of the price that you have to pay. And leadership is a lonely, lonely journey. And when you're particularly when you're taking people places that they never have been, you're looked at like you are slam-ass crazy.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, listen, Kyle, I'll bring it back to basketball here real quick. And Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, those guys took their teams to places that they had never been. And also when those teams went out to dinner, I don't think those guys were sitting there picking up the check because they weren't there with them. They were there for one reason. They got the job done on their own terms. Everybody else was along for the ride. I'm sure they got some wild stories to tell, but those Lakers and Bulls teams don't have the success without the mentality of those guys doing the heavy lifting.
Well said and very accurate. All right, I hear the blues coming in. I'm going to have to calm down here and go on to the next subject here in a minute. But, Dave, I really appreciate you coming in, and the timeliness of this is unique and much appreciated from somebody that's on the front row. So stay in touch, buddy. We'll try to touch base again next week, okay?
Coach, we'll do it. Thanks again.
All right, Dave Nathan, Tar Heel Sports Network. So there you go. Oh, my goodness. All right. Give me a call, 252-561-4263. I'll talk to you about anything. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. I want to take a minute here to tell you about Bill Clark Homes. The football stadium, the baseball stadium, the Pirate Club, whatever it is, Bill Clark Homes has always been there for ECU. The reason they can do all of this is because Bill Clark Homes continues to build quality homes and neighborhoods in both the Greenville area and in the Wilmington area. And whether it's Greenville or Wilmington, you can choose your school district with several homes under construction and available now in both markets. Eastern North Carolina's premier home builder, Bill Clark Homes, building family traditions.
When making decisions on your insurance coverages to protect your most valuable assets, First State Insurance Advisors is here to help. When you choose First State, you are working with people you can trust right here in Eastern North Carolina. Clark Stallings and his team provide knowledgeable advice with excellent service. Whether you're protecting your family with life insurance, your home and auto with personal coverage, or your business with reliable commercial insurance, First State Insurance Advisors has you covered. We would be honored to become your trusted choice agency.
Have you had a colonoscopy? If you're between the ages of 45 and 75, you need to be screened regularly for colorectal cancer. Dr. Philip Goldstein and Dr. Maurice Marquardt at Carolina Digestive Diseases and Endoscopy Center want to keep you healthy. They provide treatment and quality care for all GI needs. Just call the office at 252-758-8181.
This is Dr. Maurice Marquardt, reminding you that colonoscopy can save your life. Visit our website at cddgastro.com and come see us at Carolina Digestive Diseases.
Hey folks, this is Coach Steve Logan for Walton Academy and Children's World Learning Centers. I've known the Walton family for years. In fact, I coached Chad and Blake Walton in Pee Wee years ago. Walton Academy is a K-8 private school in Greenville on Arlington Boulevard. They also operate 4 Children's World Learning Centers across the city. The Waltons believe school should be a place where kids feel inspired, supported, and excited to learn. I promise you that if the Waltons put their name on something, it's done with heart, purpose, and excellence.
Dottridge Gas and Oil has been your dependable propane supplier for 95 years. Their trained technicians can service and properly install all your propane and natural gas appliances. Plus, Dottridge Gas and Oil is your backyard expert with fire pits, grills, smokers, and more, including quality outdoor furniture at their Greenville Patio and Hearth Shop at 1901 Charles Boulevard. Go by and see the knowledgeable staff at Dottridge Gas and Oil for propane delivery or call 756-1345.
Hey, Pirate fans.
Take a trip, consolidate debt, update your home. Whatever you're planning, a personal loan up to $5,000 can help. Coach Logan here from my friends at National Finance Company. With NFC, you can get cash now. Loans up to $5,000. Same day cash and fixed monthly payments. If you need to borrow money, trust the company that has been helping Carolinians for more than 50 years. National Finance Company. Apply at any of their 24 North Carolina locations or at nfcmoney.com.
Locals know, visitors discover, and everyone's welcome at Caribsea and Emerald Isle. Stop in for the handcrafted cocktails, stay for the live music and rooftop views at the Torpedo Lounge. Caribsea's menu features fresh seafood, hand-cut steaks, and the famous baked crab cakes locals swear by. Caribsea is the only spot on the island taking reservations with plenty of space for your crew. CaribseaRestaurant.com. For date night, family dinner, or a relaxed evening with friends, it's Caribsea and Emerald Isle.
Coach Logan's in the zone. And now, so are you. Back into the Logan Zone. Brought to you by Bill Clark Homes, Greenville Utilities, and Bojangles. On 94.3 The Game and Talk 96.3.
Welcome back into week 7 of the Logan Zone. 35 minutes left here in the show. We're taking your calls at 252-561-4263. Best caller gets a 8-piece tailgate from Bojangles. That is 252-561-4263. We're going to toss it back over to Coach Logan now. And Coach Logan, with what you were talking about there at the end of the last segment, you said a lot of coaches that had ample amount of success were always kind of tough or hard asses, for lack of a better term. You're telling me that Vince Lombardi wasn't all sunshine and rainbows when he was coaching people? Is that what you're trying to say?
I think there's a common thread. You don't have to be Satan, and you don't have to be beating the living daylights out of people emotionally. But I can just tell you that leading men, there's a price to pay. And I will share this one. I've shared this story several times. When I left East Carolina, I went into NFL Europe, and I was basically told that I had been ordered to the New England Patriots, and I was told to go there, and it was OTA, off-season training act, which is basically spring ball in the NFL. And I went there, and I met Coach Belichick and watched the Belichick machine, kind of at its height, Tom Brady, the whole crew. And I'm out there at practice, and I'm watching, and I can just tell you this, that whatever image you may have of Coach Belichick is not accurate. He comes across, he obviously doesn't like dealing with the media at all. And anything that's not football to him is a total distraction. But my point I'm making is that what I watched for, 3-4 days, almost a week up there, because I was being indoctrinated into their offense, because I was going to be in charge of working with the backup quarterback to Tom Brady, and he was going to be my quarterback in NFL Europe. So the request from the Patriots is that I use their system. So I went there. Charlie Weiss was the offensive coordinator, and, sitting in meetings with those guys. But the point I'm making is watching Coach Belichick run the program. It was just straightforward. Nobody was out there screaming and yelling or beating anybody up emotionally. It was just business, and it's, do your job, right? That was the motto that became famous with the Patriots, do your job. That's really what it was. It was do your job. And it's been interesting, as the program at New England began to fall apart, you can still listen to some of the former players that were there during the championship years under Belichick. They don't have a lot of kind, fuzzy, warm feelings about those championship years. And I find that telling. I find that very revealing about human nature. And I used to tell, I had a very, very close friend on my coaching staff at East Carolina that I could and would confide in. But I remember telling him several times, I'd say, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take this locker room and we're going to take them kicking and screaming and complaining and bitching to a winning season. And that's exactly what it was. You're taking people places. I've got a bunch of quotes about leadership. One of them, in coaching in particular, it says this: coaching is taking a young man where he cannot go by himself. Just let that marinate a minute. Coaching is taking a young man where he cannot and will not go by himself. Somebody's got to be the bad guy. And somebody's got to be the pusher. Somebody's got to be prodding. When you're not pushing and prodding, you're pulling and poking constantly to take the player where he cannot go by himself. Does that sound like an environment for a cushy, warm, and cuddly, safe space, as they say? It ain't safe. It's challenging as hell. And it's got rough edges to it. And there may be some broken bones and a lot of blood on the floor before you get to where it can win one football game, much less have a winning season, much less getting to a championship. You've heard a million people say, oh, it's the price of leadership. When you're in that chair, you have a chance every day to make a new enemy. And it could be one of your subordinates. It could be a guy on your coaching staff. It could be a guy in your locker room. It could be one of your players that you had to put on the bench. But you put him on the bench for a period of time, then you bring him back, build him up, and put him back out there. He becomes a champion, and he thinks he did it all by himself. That's okay. That's coaching. That's the routine. So, anyway, enough about that. I still want to touch on, I want to shift gears, because there's another drama-filled event that is unfolding right in front of your eyes in Raleigh, North Carolina, at North Carolina State University. So here's the deal at North Carolina State for the North Carolina State fans, and I know we've got a bunch of those listeners. I have lamented the fact that Dave Dorn let a couple of games get away from him. He had a chance to be 5-0 or 6-0 going into this Notre Dame game that's coming up. But as it turns out, he's going to be 4-2. And he looking back on it, he was extremely fortunate to win the Virginia game. The Virginia quarterback made just a catastrophic error on the last play of the game. But it gave North Carolina State the victory, and they earned it. But for North Carolina State, here's what's getting ready to unfold. I believe, and Philip, you correct me if I'm wrong here, I believe right now they're a 4-2 football team. So here you are. They're getting ready to go at Notre Dame. They're going to be a decided underdog there. You're going to be 4-3. You're going to go at Pittsburgh. Now, there's a winnable game, but it's going to be absolutely a 50-50 football game. So let's just say you lose at Notre Dame and you beat Pitt. All right? So that makes you 5-3. Georgia Tech comes to town. Georgia Tech is a fundamentally better football team than North Carolina State. North Carolina State will be an underdog in that football game. So that makes you 5-4. Then you got to get on an airplane and go play at the University of Miami. You're 5-5. Then guess what? You've got Florida State at home. Florida State is a highly capable football team this year. You're going to be an underdog. North Carolina State is going to be 5-6. Guess who they close the season with? The University of North Carolina, which is one of the worst Division I football teams that we've all seen this year. They've got no players. They can tackle no one. The offensive line is horrendous. They have a decent running back. The Max Johnson kid, the backup quarterback, is manageable if he had some talent around him, which he does not. Point I'm making is, Dave Doran, North Carolina State University, they're going to beat Chapel Hill again. Dave's going to be 6-6. They're going to wander off to a bowl game somewhere and probably have a chance to win it. And you're right back where you started at 7-6. And so I'm just throwing that out there for the North Carolina State fans to chew on that a little bit, because this is kind of where things are shaping up. And, you know, Dave Doran is one of those coaches, and I've got intimate knowledge of this, where you stay at a place a long time. And if you're not winning a championship every third year, then, you know, things get uncomfortable, things get restless. Call Dabo Swinney at Clemson. Okay? I mean, it's been, the man has 2 national championships under his belt. Last year, Philip, I believe Clemson won the ACC championship last year. That's true, isn't it?
It is.
Okay. Well, how are things sounding right now at Clemson? It's a panic. It's a mad panic. And, you know, I'm relating that to the amount of time that Dave Doran has been at North Carolina State, and which he has done a really good job. But it may not be enough, and things are getting a little bit dicey, because as you look at that home stretch of games, that this is where I get back to letting the 2 games get away from him that he could have won. He could have been a 6-0 football team. He could have had a chance to maybe squeeze out a 7-5, 8-4 football season. Right now, I don't know. It's going to be tough, and the reason I'm not bullish on North Carolina State University is the defensive unit. You know, we're watching some really bad defense at Chapel Hill. We're watching some, and that's Dave's calling card. And I know it's breaking. You know, it's upsetting him no end. I know it is, because I listen to his interviews from time to time. They're 99th in the country in total defense at 25 points a game. And that's not good enough. It's just not good enough. They've got some assets in the quarterback. They've got some assets in their running back. Their offensive line's okay. But that defensive unit in North Carolina State, I just don't think it's going to hold up. It hasn't yet. And it's getting late. All right. We get back. Love to talk to you. 252-561-4263. Give me a call. We got a couple of segments to go, maybe. Love to hear from you. Take a break.
For over 51 years, Parker's Barbecue has brought families together with our award-winning whole hog barbecue and fried chicken. Tradition is important at Parker's Barbecue, and for 3 generations, the Parker's Way has stood the test of time. Whether you visit our dining rooms or drive-thrus, use our on-site catering, or even use our nationwide shipping, the hospitality, barbecue, fried chicken, homemade sides are still the same.
We are the Parker family. Come in and let our family show you. This is the Parker's Way.
Your roof has seen its better days. During a really hard rain, you get a leak. Call a roofing contractor, and before they look at it, they say you need a new roof. Well, maybe you do, or maybe it can be repaired and last for a few more years. Whichever the case, Langley Roofing will give you an honest assessment. Whether it's commercial or residential, Langley Contracting will get the job done with their own employees. That's why you get a 25-year warranty. Easy number to remember, 252-214-ROOF. That's 214-ROOF. Langley Contracting, 214-ROOF.
Anson Belt & Buckle offers a micro-adjustable, holeless belt, giving you the perfect fit every time. As an ECU alumni-owned business since 2009, Anson Belt is proud to be the official belt of East Carolina Athletics. Looking for a new belt for yourself or a special pirate? Visit AnsonBelt.com to see why over 30,000 customers have given their Anson Belt a 5-star review. With dozens of materials to choose from and thousands of possible combinations, you'll find the belt for every occasion, especially game day, at AnsonBelt.com.
Need to insure a boat in Edenton, a business in Elizabeth City, a car in Greenville? How about a farm truck in Mount Olive or a home on the Outer Banks? Weatherly Insurance Agency, an independent insurance agency with 6 locations in eastern North Carolina, is here to help. Weatherly Insurance Agency has agents you can get to know because they're your neighbors and live in your town. Call today, 252-756-9900 or on the web at weatherlyinsurance.com. From the Outer Banks to the Inner Banks, Weatherly Insurance has you covered.
Medlin Chevrolet is your trusted Ayden dealership. Medlin Chevrolet has made their home in Ayden, serving Pitt, Lenoir, and surrounding areas for 7 years. We're growing. Now under construction is our brand new service facility to serve you even better. Try our service department for your work trucks, fleet, and personal vehicles, and you'll be with us for life. Our staff are courteous, service-minded professionals that answer the phones themselves and walk you through your purchase or service journey. Find the perfect vehicle for your lifestyle today at Medlin Chevrolet, Monday through Saturday, Highway 11, Ayden.
Are you unhappy with your smile? Doctors Bowman Paget and Associates can help you with state-of-the-art procedures to get your smile game day ready. Bowman Paget and Associates agree that dressing up like a pirate for game day is one thing, but smiling like one may not be the way you want to go. Schedule your appointment at bowmanpaget.com. That's bowmanpaget.com or call 252-752-1111. Doctors Bowman Paget and Associates.
We are the dentist of ECU. Hey!
Planning a team meeting, family gathering, wedding, or a banquet for 1,000? Golden Corral Catering has you covered. From home-style favorites to customizable menus, we'll work with you to create a spread that satisfies every guest. Need delivery, setup, or full service? We do it all, so you don't have to. Make your next event easier and more delicious and more enjoyable with Golden Corral Catering. Call us, stop in, or order online today at goldencorral.com.
Coach Logan's in the zone. And now, so are you. Back into the Logan Zone. Brought to you by Bill Clark Homes, Greenville Utilities, and Bojangles. On 94.3 The Game and Talk 96.3.
Welcome back into the Logan Zone. Week 7, final drive of Week 7. We are commercial free the rest of the way, taking your calls at 252-561-4263. Best caller gets an 8-piece tailgate from Bojangles. Bojangles is one of our title sponsors, along with Greenville Utilities and Bill Clark Homes. We want to thank them for supporting the Logan Zone all season here in our 2025-2026 season. We will be taking you up until the Super Bowl once again this year. Now, Coach Logan, well, you got about 15 minutes left, and it's all yours rest of the way.
All right, real quick, back to the East Carolina-Tulane football game that's coming up. The opportunities that are available for the American Conference football champion this year are the American Conference right now is sitting in the best place that it's ever sat during this recent turn of events, where suddenly there's a tournament where you have an automatic bid to get into. What I'm referring to is the Mountain West Conference is because of Boise State, and Boise State's one of those outliers that has found a way to compete with the big boys on a pretty regular basis. They always seem to go get a signature victory. But Philip, correct me if I'm wrong, I think Boise State has got to go to Michigan and play a football game. Is that accurate?
No, that's not. They went to Notre Dame last week, and
That's what it was.
they
Okay,
fell in that game. That was their second loss. They lost to South Florida, who is an American Conference team, by the way.
Right. So the point is that the Mountain West Conference, who just through computer rankings and quite honestly through human bias, has always been looked upon as a little bit stronger conference than the American Conference. Right now, that's not the case. And it doesn't look like anybody, UNLV suddenly, they are 5-0. And they are they have a good chance to, get into this conversation about who's going to get that group of 5 slot in the tournament at the end of the year. So you got UNLV at 5-0, but in the meantime, this Tulane East Carolina football game, Tulane is still got a chance to nab that open spot as a conference champion in the American Athletic Conference. Memphis is certainly in that conversation, but as we sit here, East Carolina has one American Conference victory, that being against Army. And if you go in and find a way to win the Tulane game, you're 2-0. You knock Tulane out of the conversation. Well, I don't know if you knock them out because Tulane would be 2-1. I'm talking about winning the American Athletic Conference championship. You're sitting here right now. South Florida is somebody to, consider. I mean, South Florida has a loss, but they have a signature victory over Florida, and they're going to be in the conversation as the conference games begin to unfold week after week after week, starting tomorrow night. So this Tulane East Carolina game, if Tulane wins it, they're going to feel really good, and they're up and running, and they're off and rolling. And the Memphis Tigers have got everything in the world to play for. They're a 5-0 football team. They have a signature victory over Arkansas. They're undefeated. So as you sit here, you've got Tulane, you've got Memphis, and you've got
South Florida.
South Florida. Yeah, you've got those three that are in the hunt. But in the meantime, if East Carolina can walk in there and come away with a victory, let me mention one more thing that's kind of a personal experience I have with coaching against Tulane. And this is going to help East Carolina, all right? I used to hate playing Tulane back in the 90s. Now, why would I say that? Because they were basically a downtrodden football team. I think I lost to them one time. They had a dynamite quarterback, and Rich Rodriguez was the offense coordinator, and they did a great job one particular year and beat us. But here's what I'm talking about, going to play Tulane. I hated it. Here's why I hated it. Tulane had that funky upside-down home field advantage of playing in the Superdome. Here's what it was like. We would take a good East Carolina team on the road down to the Superdome, and we've got a winning record. Tulane has a losing record, and we would run out on the field ready to play the game in the Superdome, and nobody was there. Nobody. In a 60, 70, whatever thousand seat stadium that place is. And when I was coaching with the Buccaneers, we played the Saints twice a year, for 3 years. And the Superdome, when it's packed, my goodness, you can't hear yourself think. But we would go in there against Tulane back in the day, and it was empty, it was dead, and that's exactly the way my football team played. Empty and dead, and we normally find a way to slop around, find a way to win a football game because we were more talented. I say that to say this. East Carolina, traditionally, the players at East Carolina, the DNA of East Carolina is that going into a loud stadium actually energizes the team. It did for my teams, I know that. We loved going to South Carolina and having whiskey bottles thrown at us and people calling us all kinds of names. I loved going to the Carrier Dome where there was not an empty seat, and it was the loudest place that you've ever coached a game in your life, up at Syracuse. We loved going to those big places, and, West Virginia, North Carolina State, for that matter, North Carolina State, they show up there. There's going to be 52,000 or whatever it is every time. But it energized us, and we liked playing with a chip on our shoulder. The point I'm making is Tulane has built their own on-campus boutique football stadium. Philip, look it up. I'm guessing that they probably have a 38,000-seat stadium, 35?
I think it's 30
Something
to 35
like
now.
30 to 35, but here's the point. It's closed in. They have an interested fan base now because they're winning. And so there will be energy in the stadium when East Carolina takes the field. This helps East Carolina. This helps. Because I'm just telling you, back in the day, the Tulane players were used to coming into an empty Carrier Dome, and they brought their own energy with it. And so, I'm going to be very interested just to see the atmosphere in Tulane's on campus. It's a brand new stadium. I don't think it's more than, 5 years old maybe? I'm dating myself here. But it's a nice facility. And when I say boutique, I'm talking about they've got the stands close to the field. It's not overbuilt to where you're going to have 25 or 30,000 empty seats. There's going to be people in the seats that are available. And so this is going to work. This is going to work to East Carolina's advantage and give them some energy to play the football game the way that I know that they want to try to play it. Okay, something that's been on my desk for about 2 or 3 weeks, and I had a question. A guy tweeted at Steve Logan Show if you ever want to send a question in. But this came in about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and it was a smart inquiry. And it said, Coach, how did we get to where the quarterback just dominates the game of football? Because he was an older guy like me. And so I just a real quick, just to, get us to the end of the program here. We've got about 5 or 6 minutes. I just want to take people down memory lane a little bit. And, just what you might call modern football. And, I was born in 53, and I stuck a helmet on my head in probably 1960, 1959. And at the time, what was being done at the Little League football, and actually all the way through high school football, and some in the NFL, college and the NFL, it was wing T football. What is wing T football? This is where you line up under center. You've got a fullback directly behind the quarterback, and let's pretend you've got a left halfback. And to your right, you would have a tight end and a wingback. And to your left, you would have one open split end. That was your normal formation. It was a wing T offense, and it was not necessarily quarterback driven. It was a form of offense that was built off misdirection. So the base play is you would have your fullback go straight up the middle. You would either hand it to him or fake the ball. And then you would have your halfback going to the right, and you would either hand him the ball or fake it. And then all the myriad forms of misdirection that you can invent off of that. I will jump forward right now and tell people that the jet sweep that you see in today's modern football, where the wide receiver comes in motion and the ball is handed very quickly to that football player, the jet sweep, that is directly from the root of the wing T football system. That comes directly from wing T football. Okay? So that was just the norm. It was wing T football. And you could get by with a really good offensive line, a good fullback, a good halfback. You're going to throw the ball about 12 times a game. Most of it's play action. And the game was played in that form. The big innovation began to hit when the wing T people took that left halfback and put him behind the fullback. And now you had the I formation football begin to sweep the nation. And those of you that are old enough, you can think back to what it was. It was Herschel Walker at the collegiate level. It was Tony Dorsett at the Dallas Cowboys in the I formation. And here again, this was not necessarily quarterback-driven offense. It was tailback, offensive line-driven offensive football. And everybody mattered, okay, but not like it does today. From the I formation, there was the evolution of the wishbone, and triple option football came into being. Here again, this is not a quarterback-driven offense. This offense is built on high-level execution. The quarterback is simply a guy playing keep away with the football. And you got to be good at it, but it's not something to where delivering the football, throwing the football, was anywhere on the radar. So the wishbone swept the nation, and it blew defenses up all over the country. Barry Switzer, national championship after national championship, running the wishbone. When the wishbone began to die on the vine because defenses caught up with it, the wishbone went back. You began to spread the field out now, and there was a brief time, about 4 or 5 years, in the early 80s, where an offense called the split back veer came into vogue, and it was basically a pro set where you got two halfbacks, quarterback under center, tight end to the right, flanker to the right, and a split end to the left. This is now suddenly you've broken the field open again. This was still a triple option offense, but guess what? We're starting to throw the football some. And this is where I was the offensive coordinator at the University of Tulsa when I was, 13 years old or something stupid like that. And this was the offense that I was coordinating at the University of Tulsa. I had just run the wishbone offense at a junior college before I came to the University of Tulsa, I was a full wishbone football coach, fully immersed in the wishbone. Came to the University of Tulsa. The split back veer was the offense that was there, so I learned it. And, I was the offensive coordinator there, and we had a lot of success, put up a lot of points. But this is where you could, for the first time, begin to throw the football with meaning and purpose in a true drop-back fashion, to where you had design as opposed to deception throwing the football, is the split-back veer. As soon as the split-back veer began to die, the next evolution was the one-back offense. So you no longer had two backs in the backfield. You had one really good running back in the backfield. The other running back was converted to a wide receiver. So now just imagine coming out of the huddle. You got a tight end to the right, you got a wide receiver to the right, and to your left you have a wide receiver and a slot and one back behind you. Well, guess who's really becoming important now to execute this kind of idea? That's your quarterback. This quarterback has got to begin to be the point guard and spread the football around and get it to the open guy, for lack of a better term. From the one-back set, guess what? Empty sets came into being, and, as in the late 90s, we rolled an empty set out on the football field the last game of not the late 90s, the early 90s, actually, at East Carolina. We rolled an empty set out in 1991 in the Peach Bowl. And during the 90s, the empty set began to really evolve. Well, with no backs in the backfield, wide receivers spread all over the football field, gets back to the question that was asked. How did the quarterback become, it's just obvious now, you can't win a football game without a quarterback. Well, that's the evolution of the game. We've gone all the way from three backs in the backfield to no backs in the backfield. And guess what? If there's nobody in the backfield to hand the ball to, you got to throw it. And there's your recipe for a spread offense, which is what you're going to see tomorrow night with East Carolina and Tulane. Looking forward to the game. I appreciate everybody that tuned in. We will be back. Are we going to do another Wednesday show next week, Philip?
Yes, sir, we are.
All right. More Thursday night football for the Pirates next Thursday. All right. We'll see y'all next Wednesday. Appreciate y'all listening.